After getting blown out by a score of 44-21 against the Chiefs last week, the Arizona Cardinals are going into week 2, hoping they can go into Las Vegas and come out with a win against the Raiders. So let's preview this matchup and see what it's going to take for the Arizona Cardinals to get in the win column. Now for the Cardinals going into this game, injuries are still a concern. Kelvin Beachum and Rodney Hudson have been getting Veterans Days off to rest, so that's really not a concern. Though he's dealing with an injury, Zach Ertz was a full participant at Thursday's practice, so he should be good to go. But Rondale Moore and Andy Isabella are both questionable going into the game, and neither has practiced this week. With the Cardinals already down DeAndre Hopkins due to a suspension, missing Moore and Isabella is a big knock to their depth at receiver. Hopefully, at least one of these two players will be ready to play on Sunday. But with neither practicing this week thus far, that's not a good sign. But even a bigger concern is safety Jalen Thompson, one of the Cardinals' best defensive players who hasn't practiced due to a toe injury. For a defense that struggled mightily in week 1, to be missing one of their best players in Thompson is far from ideal. Hopefully he'll be ready to go, but if he isn't, we're either going to see Deontay Thompson starting, or we might see more snaps from Isaiah Simmons at safety. Now on a more hopeful front, JJ Watt looks like he's going to be back this game. Although he's still questionable, he participated in practice Thursday, albeit on a limited basis, but sounded optimistic about his likelihood of playing on Sunday. Cornerback Trayvon Mullen, who's dealing with a toe injury, has also practiced on a limited basis, and while the Cardinals do hope to get him back, his status seems a little less certain for Sunday. But one of the more important injuries to monitor is Justin Pugh. Pugh missed the last game, and the Cardinals' offensive line really struggled against the Chiefs. During a press conference this week, Coach Cliff Kingsbury expressed some uncertainty as to whether Pugh would play. He said he'll be day-to-day, he's getting better, but I'm not sure he'll be all the way by Sunday. But despite Coach Cliff Kingsbury's uncertain tone, Darren Urban tweeted out a report that Pugh, along with JJ Watt, feels confident that he's going to play Sunday. It's hard to know what to make of these mixed messages. Players are often chomping at the bit to get back on the field, but coaches tend to listen to the training staff and might opt to give the player more time to heal before they get them out there. Now the Raiders are also dealing with some injuries on their side. Running back Brandon Bolden hasn't practiced this week. Center Andre James hasn't practiced. Safety Trevon Moehrig hasn't practiced. Linebacker Denzel Perryman hasn't practiced. Cornerback Sam Webb has been limited, and cornerback Nate Hobbs has been a full participant in practices. So as is often the case, both teams are dealing with some injuries. Now the Raiders are coming into this game with a lot of pressure to win as well. In week 1, they lost to the LA Chargers by a score of 24-19 and are trying to keep pace in a division that many believe is the best division in the NFL this year, the AFC West. With the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders all seen as teams that should be competitive this year, the Raiders can ill afford to lose another game in their efforts to try to keep pace in that division. So make no mistake about it, the Raiders are not taking this game lightly. And going into this game, the Raiders are a 5.5 point favorite over the Cardinals. Yes, both teams are coming off losses, but the Raiders weren't blown out like the Cardinals were. So if the Cardinals are going to go into Vegas and come out with a win, there's a number of things that they have to do. First, the Cardinals defense needs to play much better than they did in week 1 so they can find a way to stop the Raiders offense. Now the Raiders aren't the Chiefs, and Derek Carr is not Patrick Mahomes, but he is a solid NFL quarterback, and the Cardinals are going to need to find a way to slow him and this offense down. Now in week 1, the Chargers managed to sack Derek Carr 5 times, and this Cardinals defense that had 0 sacks against Patrick Mahomes needs to get pressure on Derek Carr. Now the Raiders offensive line isn't as stout as that of the Chiefs. They've been rebuilding their line in the last couple of years and do have a couple nice pieces. Tackle Colton Miller has been a solid left tackle for the Raiders, and rookie Dylan Parham played really well in his first NFL game. Derek Carr isn't as elusive as Patrick Mahomes, and although the Raiders offensive line does have some nice pieces they're building, the Cardinals should have a better chance of getting pressure than they did last week. Now the Cardinals are also going to be facing another elite tight end this week. Travis Kelce had a great game against the Cardinals, going for 8 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Darren Waller is also among the best receiving tight ends in the NFL. Last week he had 4 receptions for 79 yards and no touchdowns, but this is a player who in the NFL has had a season with over 100 receptions and multiple seasons with over 1,000 yards. Isaiah Simmons is going to have his hands full, and he needs to play better this week than he did last week. In addition to Waller, the Raiders also have a couple really talented wide receivers. Davante Adams, who had been with the Packers since his rookie season, was reunited with Derek Carr, his college quarterback. Adams is an outstanding route runner, and when you're having a conversation about who's the best receiver in the NFL, his name has to be in that conversation. Adams had 10 receptions for 141 yards and 1 touchdown in week 1, and the Cardinals cornerbacks are definitely going to have their hands full trying to cover him. Rounding out the Raiders trio of outstanding pass catchers is Hunter Renfrow. Renfrow is an outstanding slot receiver who had 103 receptions last season and over 1,000 receiving yards. This is an offense that could make the Cardinals defense look bad if they don't come prepared. And part of coming prepared is that they're going to need better play from their linebackers. In week one of the biggest problems the Cardinals had was that their inside linebackers played really poorly, particularly in coverage. This poor play from the linebackers made it much easier for the Chiefs to pick apart the Cardinals defense in the middle of the field. With players like Waller, Adams, and Renfro, the Cardinals defense is going to need to play much better in coverage to prevent a repeat of what happened in week one. It's also worth noting that although the Raiders didn't run the ball much in week one, they have some capable running backs. Josh Jacobs is a former first-round pick, veteran Brandon Bolden and Amir Abdullah, and rookie Zamir White round out a nice running back room. The Cardinals definitely can't afford to take this running game lightly. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, there's a couple keys for the Cardinals. First, that offensive line needs to play better. One of the biggest reasons the Cardinals struggled offensively in week one is that Kyler was under pressure all game. They need to do a better job of keeping him clean and giving him time to deliver the pass. And this is going to be no easy task because the Raiders have one of the best tandems of pass rushers in the NFL. One of those pass rushers is a very familiar face to Cardinals fans, Chandler Jones. He signed as a free agent with the Raiders this offseason, and although he is getting older, he is still a very talented pass rusher. Now, rushing from the other side is Max Crosby, one of the best young pass rushers in the NFL. Crosby is entering his fourth season and had 8 sacks in 2021. This pair is going to try to put pressure on Kyler Murray and prevent him from having time to make plays. It's vital that that offensive line plays better so the Cardinals can get this offense moving. With Rondale Moore and Andy Isabella questionable, another key to this game is going to be for the Cardinals to use some of their other playmakers. Leaning more heavily on the running game could go a long way to help this Cardinals offense move the ball. But they also need to throw to the tight ends, particularly Zach Ertz. Ertz only had 2 receptions for 14 yards in week one. Now, one of those receptions was a touchdown, but the Cardinals need to get him much more involved in this passing game. While the Raiders are not the Chiefs, this is by no means an easy matchup for the Cardinals. They need to play better on defense and on offense and show that week one was just a slow start. But if the Cardinals can't manage to come out of this game with a win, an 0-2 hole is not a good way to start the season. What do you think are the keys to this game for the Cardinals? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Cardinal Rule.